Hello everybody, welcome to the final part of the Loud Go Quiet series. This time we are featuring a brand new poly ship, and I hope you guys like it because honestly, I absolutely love this poly ship. So this is AsaNoyaUshiTen, and I literally love them. They're just so unseriously serious, and I don't know, there's like no mix in between them. They are just amazing. And yeah, I hope you guys like it. Hello my lovely viewers. Looking for some affordable and good quality anime merch? Want to support your favorite Haikyuu team or join UA? What about joining the Straw Hat Pirates for an adventure or two? Want to join the Black Bulls or the Fairy Tail Guild? Well, this site has that and so much more. Use my discount code and receive 10% off your entire order. Link and code is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. The fluff we so desperately needed. I'll second that. Totally not because I contributed to the angst. Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna have to call BS on that. Hold up. If I'm not mistaken, Nishinoya, you were the last one for this challenge. Wait, but you created it. Why did you go last? Noya was never patient, and this was no different. Waiting for Asahi and Ushijima to get home seemed to drag on. Even more aggravating was the damn clock ticking, becoming a constant reminder of how slow each second became. The only reason they had the clock was because Ushijima had found it at a thrift store and bought it because of its antique-like appearance. Regardless of its looks, it was quickly becoming a nuisance to him. He lazily rolled off the couch and hit the hard wooden floors. Rolling out to the middle of the room, he stared up at the ceiling, waiting for time to pass by. After a few minutes, Noya felt the presence of another settle next to him on the floor. They laid next to him on the floor, staring at the ceiling, as if trying to see what he was so captivated by. What are we looking at? A smaller almost started laughing at how open his lover had been just to lay on the ground next to him, but his stubbornness only fueled his frustration and impatience. Nothing. That's the thing. The redhead raised his eyebrow and studied the ceiling further. No. If you stare at it long enough, images start forming. It's like some sort of trance. Noya hummed and stared further, trying to see what the taller had been talking about. You're right. They had gotten too caught up in studying the images that formed in the ceiling, sprawled out on the living room floor, that they didn't notice Ushijima and Asi opening the door. Oh, Satori, you're on the floor. Oddly enough, not the first time. Asahi walked past them, settling his bags down on the kitchen counter, and walked back over to his two lovers still lying on the floor. Are they alive? Ushijima hummed, as if he were analyzing their trance state to figure out if they would respond anytime soon. It would be quite inconvenient if they weren't. It would start smelling. Tingle crinkled his nose at this and met the taller's eyes with a pout. That's mean, Toshi. You care about the smell and not the loss of us? The designer chuckled at their interaction and slithered his arms around the redhead's waist, pulling him into his lap, pressing gentle kisses along his nape. You know he's just teasing. Ushijima looked over and poked Noya's arm, noticing he'd yet to make a move, and stared at the ceiling to mirror his gaze. Is there something alluring about the ceiling? Of course there is. The brunette soon followed their gazes. Ridiculously enough, all four of them were staring at the ceiling. Honestly, it could use a bit more of a creative touch. Should we paint it? And lose our deposit? Fair enough. The former Libro couldn't contain the laugh that bubbled in his chest from his lover's interaction. How were they able to take something so seriously? It's why he refrained from the more serious pranks. He knew that despite it being a prank, Asi's anxiety would skyrocket. Ushijima would more than likely look past it, being oblivious to it, and if he did, he would just shut down. And Tendo... He couldn't even begin to describe the endless possibilities of outcomes Tendo could provide. With his personality, Noya wouldn't even be shocked if he joined in on the prank. That was the terrifying thing. Tendo Satori was the most unpredictable person he'd ever known. Oh, so our little gremlin is finally with us. The giant had reached over Tendo to brush his ungelled hair out of the smeller's face, just for Noya to roll over on the side and walk off to the kitchen to roam through the bags Asi had brought in. He greedily grabbed a hefty amount of chocolate from one of the bags and started nibbling at it, watching his partners walk into the kitchen to see what the troublesome traveler was up to. Hey, I needed that chocolate for practice. Tendo pulled a large chunk from his mouth, allowing him to bite what he wanted before wrapping the rest back into its packaging. Ushijima raised his brow and crossed his arms. You're acting off. He's always off. Well, more so than usual. The ace leaned down to his level to analyze him more directly, curious as to why he was acting more mellow than usual. By now, the hyperactive boy would have jumped on top of Asi to give him a near heart attack and spur endless questions and commentary on his day to Ushijima. Now that he thought about it, he hadn't even heard a word from him. Are you sick? Sick? The furrow in his brow lessened, hearing his voice, relieved to hear there was no hoarseness or rasp in between his words. You're quiet. And you are too. Well, that's normal from him though. From you? Not so much. Oh gods, what did you do? Did you do something bad and get into trouble? Wait, did you lose your passport again? Or... Classic Asahi, getting lost in his thoughts as a worrywart never seemed to get old. While he did sometimes feel bad for making the latter get so anxious, it was also heartwarming to hear someone verbally care about him. Once the brunette started his splurge of worries, he had absolutely no filter and would state them all. Don't worry, my passport should be in my suitcase still. Or it should be. He chuckled nervously, but decided to worry about that on a later date. He went back to the matter at hand. I just don't feel like talking. Tendo froze, which was more unnatural than Noya's silent behavior. He didn't know a time that the chocolatier wasn't bouncing on his heels or performing some small quirky dance. Are you actually feeling okay? Yeah, what's wrong with not talking? He plopped into the chair in the dining room, next to the kitchen, still munching on the chunk of chocolate Tendo allowed him to eat. Ushijima continued to furrow his brows to the point he got fed up. The giant had walked over and threw the smaller over his shoulders. Ushi, what are you... He wrapped his arms around the taller's waist while upside down while the ace walked off. Tendo seemed to find the idea thrilling and jumped on Asi. Catch me! The brunette grunted and stumbled backwards, trying to stabilize himself with Tendo not clinging to him. God, you scared me. Give me more warning next time. You could have hurt yourself. But I didn't. That's besides the point. You didn't hurt yourself because I caught you. Exactly. You'll catch me every time. Ruthlessly, the redhead commends his teasing, something that Asahi could never win at. How can you be so sure? I trust you. Ugh, you're impossible. In the midst of this small bickering, Asahi had somehow complied and followed their lovers to the bedroom, where Ushijima had promptly thrown Nishinoya on the mattress and plopped on top of him, letting his body go slack on the smaller. Ushi? Ushi, gods, get off, you're crushing me. I'm afraid gravity has won this one. Noya groaned, slapping the taller's back shoulder to no avail. With the amount of pure muscle Ushijima was made up of, his weight was no joke. To keep up the protein intake, Noya often helped Asahi in the kitchen, and it seemed that deed would be the cause of his demise. Maybe if the silent treatment stopped, I might talk to gravity again to see if they're willing to compromise. Come on, Ushi. You're being ridiculous. Ah! The air was squeezed from his lungs when Tendo, who was never up to any good, launched out of Asahi's arms and jumped onto them. Noya painfully grunted and strained, feeling his ribs get pushed farther into the bed. He uselessly filled his arms when his face was pressed into suffocation. Becoming aware of the traveler's lack of air, Asahi stepped in and pried the redhead off and gave Ushijima a stern, yet gentle gaze and pulled Noya up into a sitting position. I knew it! You were trying to kill me! Not quite. And to be fair, I accepted it when you became unresponsive on the floor when we came home. But I'm fine. Ushijima humorously wiped a fake tear. Rest in peace, my dearest Noya. He will forever be missed. Hey, I'm not dead. I will forever— Ow! The giant suppressed a chuckle when Noya swatted a hand at his shoulder. Did you feel that, Satori? The redhead snickered, getting a kick out of this, and decided to play along to the farce. Feel what, Ushi? I have no idea what you're talking about. Having absolutely enough of the pain-in-the-ass challenge and his headstrong partners, Noya let out a frustrated scream and flung himself on Ushijima's shoulders. Hoisting himself high enough to bump into the ceiling and loudly exclaimed his frustrations. What the hell? I'm not dead, I'm alive, you dumbass! And you! The shoulder pointed an accusing finger at Tendo, who was practically leaning on the tips of his toes just waiting for what was to come. Stop adding to the fire! After the first string of shouting was out of his system, Noya allowed himself to lean back from the ace's shoulders and plop onto the mattress, burying himself into the covers to make his ungelled hair more unkempt than before. Finally content with the former Libro's behavior, Ushijima chuckled and leaned down enough to press a sweet kiss onto the top of his head. Nice to have you back, you. I was getting tired of mourning you. Ugh, Ushi, I wasn't dead. Asahi sighed, retreating to the kitchen to make dinner, but mostly to escape the chaos that followed with each day. Even though he's seen his fair share of close calls and near panic attacks, he didn't want it any other way. The chaos he was introduced to by his partners became home. And home was where he intended to stay. Alright everybody, that officially wraps up the final part of the Loud Go Quiet series. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this series. I could do a supercut of this series if you would like. Now I do have a plan for the next challenge for the poly pranks. I will also be adding more poly couples to this challenge, or the next challenge, so to say. So be on the lookout because it's going to be awesome. Thank you to all of my lovely duckers. You guys are super amazing. Literally, I appreciate everything you do. And special thanks to Annabeth, Chase, and Neko. And thank you guys for joining the Chaotic Duckers. If you aren't aware, me and my darling Hana just had a challenge. So our members will certainly be flourishing within the next month or so, or maybe this challenge will just keep on going for the rest of our lives and we're just making haiku content, and yeah, it's going to get messy. So yes, I will see you guys later.